Hello. We've got some great subjects today, like murder and divorce. So that's fun. Jesus is still preaching, so let's get into it. We're starting in Matthew 5, verse 21. You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, "Do not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment." But I tell you that anyone who is angry with his brother will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to his brother, "Raka," is answerable to the Sanhedrin, but anyone who says, "You fool," will be in danger of the fire of hell. So he starts by reminding them of one of the 10 Commandments. First, I guess we could talk about the commandment itself. I don't know if I want to talk about it too much because I'm not an expert on the immoralities of killing. There are questions like, what about soldiers? They're probably necessary, but is it murder? And then there's self-defense. And what about the times in the Old Testament when God commands Israel to kill? Is it okay to start killing in the name of God? So it's a difficult subject. Here's the best conclusion I can make. It's probably just best to avoid killing people as much as possible. I might even argue that God no longer commands anyone to kill after the new covenant that Jesus gives. And I suppose that if you must kill, it is only a sin when there is hate in your heart. That might be the difference between killing and murder. Again, I'm not an expert on this, so this is for you to think about. But then he mentions another way we should view it. It's a very important way of thinking about sin, and he even says similar things for other sins. It's about how just wanting to do something sinful is almost as bad as actually doing it. That's what the Reliant K song is about.
And you can't see past the blood on my hands to see that you've been aptly damned to fail and fail again, 'cause we're all guilty of the same things. We think the thoughts whether or not we see them through.
This may sound crazy, but for one, they're not equally sinful. However, sin is strange because have you ever heard the term sin is sin? So even though some sins aren't as bad as others, overall they're all bad. Life shouldn't be about finding the mellow sins, it should be about avoiding all of them. So he's saying that we should not speak of wishing someone was dead or even thinking about it. This can unfortunately be very difficult. I've probably had thoughts like that just this week, so yeah, not good. But then he goes further and says that even just mean words are sinful. Raka is a general term for idiot and similar words, but it also is about the tone of voice. So you shouldn't be rude with others. This major responsibility is hard to do. Heck, I had mean thoughts about someone 10 seconds ago. I'm writing notes at work. But it's still important for us to remember. Alright, let's read on. The next paragraph is really just about being at peace with others. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to your brother. Then come and offer your gift. Settle matters quickly with your adversary who is taking you to court. Do it while you are still with him on the way, or he may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown in prison. I tell you the truth, you will not get out until you have paid the last penny. So that can be difficult. I feel like we often don't want to forgive. I know I can be like that. Maybe there was something that a teacher said to me and I still haven't forgiven them for saying it, even though it's been maybe half a decade. I've got many things like that stored up. So it's a journey for us all. It doesn't seem fair. I'd rather they suffer, but Jesus would not want that, so I'm going to have to find a way to forgive them. We have another fun subject starting in Matthew 5, verse 27. You have heard that it was said, "Do not commit adultery." But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go to hell. Well, that's just great. Of course, this isn't the first time I've heard this verse. Thankfully, the violent parts are just a figure of speech. You don't have to actually gouge out your eyes and stuff like that. And like I said with the murder one, doing it in your heart isn't equal to actually doing the thing. Still. And I dream of the day when I could give you guys some really good advice and speeches, but yeah, let's just move on. Matthew 5:31. It has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for marital unfairness, causes her to become an adulteress. And anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Another great subject. I don't personally know anything about this, so at least there's that. So what it's saying is that the only reason for divorce is marital unfairness. I think other versions might say slightly different things, but this version seems to make a lot of sense. One version I read just classified it as sexual immorality, but I don't think that completely works because, one, both partners could be committing sexual immorality, and two, it seems too specific. Marital unfairness is probably the best way to describe it because basically only reasons for unfaithfulness are grounds for divorce. So obviously it would cover cheating, but it would also cover abuse because to abuse is to be unfaithful. So there are a few valid reasons for divorce. But what he says is interesting because if someone divorces just by law, but not by God's law, which we stated, then it's not a legitimate divorce in God's eyes, and so the man and woman are essentially adulterers. Sorry for accusing some people of this, but still, for some, you had a valid reason, so don't worry. And the next subject kind of flows from this because marriage is an oath, and starting in verse 33, he talks about oaths. Again, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, do not break your oath, but keep the oaths you have made to the Lord. But I tell you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by the earth, for it is its footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. Simply let your yes be yes, and your no, no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. This isn't really hard to grasp, but it is very important for us to remember. Oaths are, of course, mostly just promises, so it's just saying that you shouldn't make promises that you can't keep. It also says that you shouldn't swear by anything. This seems kind of strange, but I'm pretty sure that it's saying that when you swear by something, it's kind of putting the blame on something that's not yours or something that you can't control. Therefore, it's a bad promise. And you might have heard that last sentence before, and really that's all that Jesus is saying. Let your yes be yes, and your no, no. Well, I think we're going to stop there this week. We'll have plenty more from this sermon for next week, so don't forget to tune in. Thanks, guys.